mean, having that dust on, in some ways is actually helpful because I can tell if the screw is rotating or not. Ugh. Oh dear, there you go. Hello, today I'm going to do a repasting and replacing the battery in my Switch. Thought this could make an interesting video. This is first and foremost an ASMR video, so it might take longer to get to certain bits. This Switch I've had it since the launch day in the UK, and recently the battery has just not been holding its charge. I mean, I think it's coming up to 6 years old now. So I've bought a replacement on eBay, and then I was also reading about maybe needing to repaste the chips. I think when taking off the metal case inside, there's going to be a metal shield of some kind. Using a guide and I fix it. I've looked on some other videos on YouTube and they're suggesting to use this paste, which is a thermal pad replacement. So you're not supposed to put it on the actual chips themselves like your CPU or your GPU. But it's merely sort of quite a thick consistency that helps to fill larger gaps. So I was thinking if I was going to do that anyway, I was looking into maybe repasting the, well, I'll call it the CPU, but now it's like a system on a chip. But either way, the main chip underneath the heatsink. I've got all these bits I've prepared. Got my Switch, of course, and all these products I'll mention, and I might put links in the description. But this isn't sponsored at all. All of these have been bought myself. So obviously the Switch. This multi-tool kit that I bought off Amazon a few months ago. I did have problems with the Joycons a while back. I was looking for kits to with the tri-rings and things to be able to open up the Joy-Cons and replace bits. A lot of the kits, the replacement joysticks on Amazon, came with tools. But every time, if the stick wasn't very good, I'd have to send it back. Obviously the tools would go back with it. So that would be better off getting myself a proper kit. I've not used it too strenuously for anything, so I've not put the build quality really to the test. But oh yeah, I think I might have actually bought it for fixing a mobile phone. Anyway, comes with a useful suction cup to help get off the screens or backs. If there's nothing really to grab onto. It's got the tool for your SIM card tray in your phone, but that bent fairly recently, so that's not the strongest part. Got a few plastic spudges, and there's 4 different heads on there. Not quite sure why they're all necessarily needed. I'll put this down for a sec. This is a screwdriver, and it's useful because it's extendable. That comes out there. Pull this back. It locks into different places. I'll leave that out, so we'll need that. And then it's got, there's every chance something in this video could go wrong. I've not gone through the Switch tool, I've not even opened it up before. Had some difficulty with the screws on the bottom. I took those out last night. So I don't know, there's a chance I might struggle on some bits and some bits might not play nice. But we'll go along with it. Anyway, see what happens. And this is an attachment which is flexible, which is quite useful. If you have to get around the corner into a sort of angle, it's just, you know, plastic covered. I know cable, but as you rotate, it actually does rotate the, which is could be quite useful. Some tweezers, some I don't know, extension bit for another type. Can't really get that out. Probably won't need it, so we'll leave that. I might need the tweezers. On the other side. There's a variety of different picks or plectrum type things. Help separating, prizing bits apart. I'm trouble getting them all back. Now, not exactly sure. I'm about to lose the screws off the bottom of the switch again. Let's demagnetise and magnetise. Anyway, I've got the two tiny screws that came out the bottom of the switch. Just stuck onto there to try and keep them safe, but there's every chance I can lose them. I almost lost them last night. Now, this came with it as well, which is I think a magnetic mat. It looks magnetic. It's not the most obvious, not particularly strong, but hopefully maybe it's just magnetised screws stick to it. I'll give it a go. There's a variety of heads in there. Tri-wing, Phillips, flat head, you know, whatever. Had good reviews on Amazon, so you know, a couple of each size as well. Well, depending on the type. Anyway, move on from that. Got this Arctic MX6 thermal compound for the chip. I was looking for some on Amazon, and this seemed to be the latest version of a reputable recommended. I also have a PC which I'm going to redo the compound on the GPU and the CPU, and so I'm intending on doing another video on those. I've opened this up already just to check, and comes with the, not sure if that's in focus. And also, that's 6, I think, wipes, which used to wipe off the old thermal compound. Apparently, according to some Amazon reviews, they stink the house out. Not sure if I'll use those or not. So I bought some ice propyl alcohol as well. So I need that to, that's on Amazon as well. That's to the 90, well, that says 100% there at the bottom, but online it's described as 99.9% isopropyl alcohol, because I'll be needing that to maybe remove the battery from the switch. What about this as well, which is the recommended in iFixit, the thermal pad replacement. So that's a thicker thermal compound. That's just to bridge the gap between the heatsink and the metal shield in the back of the switch. Apparently, some people say you don't even need that metal shield in there. It's just for regulations and doesn't seem to do much for the heat performance. So therefore, if the heatsink isn't bridging the gap, it's probably not the worst thing ever. Also got some pipette. It struggles to get out of the bottle. Comes in these vials to keep them. It's a glass pipette. Got a pack of 5, 2 with an angled nozzle, 3 with a straight nozzle. And I wasn't sure whether I'd need these or not, but I needed to get above the £20 for an Amazon order. They cost about £3 or £4. I thought they might come in useful for other things. They might help administer the isopropyl alcohol around the battery and underneath the battery to get it loose. I might be able to just prise it off without using it. Obviously a cloth, that's just a cloth that comes with Samsung TVs, and I've got some vinyl gloves, so it might help keep the crease of my fingers potentially from going on bits. I recommend if you're repasting your GPU or CPU, you've got to make sure not to touch them after you've cleaned them or get any bits of dust and stuff on, because that could interfere with the effectiveness of the compound. Alright, so in ASMR fashion, I'm going to put the gloves on. I don't know if these will end up being a help or a hindrance, but so I'll have them on just in case. Might be overkill, but better safe than sorry. Right. Here's my original switch. Thought I'd show off the these Joycon, because I don't seem to see them around very much. They were released back in the day when ARMS, if anyone remembers ARMS, was released. And I like the colour of them. Don't know what they'll come out accurately on camera, but I've got problems with these. Obviously Joycon drift. I've had Joycon drift on 6 Joycons that we've got in the house. These, my original grey ones, and my wife's switch. All of them got sent to be replaced. And luckily they replaced them free of charge. I think even though they might have been out of warranty, they wouldn't admit to it and wouldn't say explicitly that they were going to. They said they'd send them in, they'd assess them and give me a price. The next thing I knew, they were fixed and on their way back, free of charge. That's great. However, I didn't realise until a while afterwards, one of the Joycons, the buttons on the rail weren't working, and then the lights weren't working, and I think it was quite a while afterwards. I thought if I say, oh, this isn't working, they might think it's just happened in the meantime. And then after a while, in the other one went as well. And it's to do with the cable inside. First, I'm going to take these off. So these buttons here don't work anymore. The sync button doesn't work, and the lights don't work. It works, everything else, if you have it on there, or held it like this, you can't use them side on. And that's because there's a cable, ribbon cable, that goes from here onto the board, which bends to give you enough room to get the case on. If it gets bent, it seems to weaken the connection. That's happened on my other ones when I was repairing them myself. Even though I didn't catch it, once the case was closed, it seems to bend them at too severe an angle that it seems to make the connection loose. When opening it up again, it's okay and fine, as long as the cable is not bent too much. It's just the nature of the cable. Anyway, I got those Joycons fixed and they seem to replace everything and it was working fine. These ones are just gone over time. So that's those. So try, if you're in the UK or maybe somewhere else in Europe, if your sticks are drifting, tell them that the sticks are drifting, and even though they don't explicitly say, they may end up replacing the things for you. Right, let's get on with it. This is not going to be a short video. If I can get around to actually looking, I will look how to put, they're called timestamps and skippable, what are they, chapters or whatever they're called, I can't remember. Anyways, these gloves aren't doing much at the moment because I'm rubbing dirt all off on them. Anyway, so these screws are a pain, tiny screws. You saw them on that mercantising thing. And when I didn't strip them, when using the part to unscrew them, they would just spin round and round. It won't be this, the head. Like I said, it wasn't stripping them. I just seem to have no purchase. Apparently there's some plastic tabs they go into. Makes it sound like as if they can break off or something, or they're just not plain nice. But anyway, someone when I fix it said something about prizing this open a bit. So what I did is I took one of these picks, pushed it just in there, along this, to prise between the cases. It separated them slightly, just held it in place, and then the screws started to come out, and obviously moved it up. Did the same for this one. So they've already been removed, and they're tiny. So go careful you don't lose them. I don't know if it affects the working of it. It just means you can prise the case apart. I was not doing it now, but yesterday I did. It was coming apart. Anyway, so I'm following the guide and iFixit at the same time as I'm doing this. So you have to bear with me whilst I refer to it. Like I said, the point is not necessarily to get on with it. The point is, the longer this goes on for, it might actually be more calming and sleep inducing or whatever for people. So surprisingly, the actual switch case isn't tri-wing screws. The Joycons are, for some reason. Tiny little screws in there. But the actual case is a crosshead, or you said about using 000. I know. And here it says a 00. These ones. There's every chance I can drop this whilst doing it, and I can make for more entertaining video. feel like that's too thick. No, these are tri-wing. Why did I see something about crossheads? Maybe it's just those ones and some inside. Okay, there's crossheads on these end ones here. Got something else that's happened to my switch, and I think it happened not long after getting it, maybe like a year or so. I noticed for some reason on these screws it's like a white powdery substance. And I searched online and there's no reference to it whatsoever anywhere else. And I don't know if it's just some dust that's sucked through from here and has gone in there. It seems attached to it, it seems almost like crystalline, like a salt. I'm wondering if there's a chance anything to do with the battery. But like I said, it's been there since about a year or two. So who knows, we could open this up and find the battery's in such a bad condition. There's all this other stuff kicking around in there. So, scrap this. Need the Y, the tri-wing ones. Okay. So there's a Y00. I don't have 00 on. I just have 0.6, 1.5, 2, 2.33. Try the 0.6. They're the smallest ones. I may have actually had trouble with one of these screws before. I'm hoping not. It's turning because you can see there's crud around the screws. Don't know if it's the same stuff that's on those inside screws. One of them seem to be coming off. Is that man doing anything? There we go. On the screw in place. Not sure if I should put them on each corner to remind me their actual location as well. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff falling off. Powdery. Right. It says, at the top. It's got to be again, that's cross. Take that one and leave it there. Let's knock the camera. Right. This one looks like similar problem to the bottom ones. is spinning. It just rotates around and around. So I'm going to try like I did yesterday. That can hold. Place that in there. Around. Oh, okay. So anyway, yeah, so if you're having trouble getting these screws out, just try and gently, because I think there's a ridge there, so you shouldn't go too far through. Place the pick in there, or whatever, and it seems to get more purchase unscrewing. Not sure if that's going to hold. Apparently these bottom ones aren't magnetic. That's alright. Might get these little ones and stick them there. I would say before I lose them, but it might be too late for that. Funny that they came off there easily last time when I didn't want them to. There you go. So that'll help identify which way up. I suppose it matters too much as long as you get the right screws for, well, it doesn't matter if they went back in exactly the same hole. Alright, now we've got to do the ones on the side. These heads are so small, I can't tell. Remember which one I had on. Anyway, so these with the mystery white powder. At any point, I could get unstuck on some of these, and they don't want to come out. Oh, that one. Okay, that one's not moving. I don't want to strip it. That one's okay. This one's completely covered in stuff. When you're starting them off, just gently press it against the middle, give it a little twist as you're, and then you'll find that it slots in, and then once it's in, press quite firmly to make sure that the head stays in the slot. Otherwise it'll jump out, and then if it does jump out, that's when it can damage the metal of the screw and strip it, which is when you end up with a situation where none of the crossheads stay in place anymore, and they keep just jumping out and wearing it away even more. So if you use too big a head, you might not go in properly and get a good purchase, and you can just ground down the cross. If you use too small a one, it'll go in more, and it might just spin around. Feel like you're doing stuff, but it's kind of just wearing away inside. Okay, so like, probably not going to be able to see it on there, but it's sort of covered in all this powder around the outside. I might clean those off. I'm wondering if I can dip them in a bath of isopropyl alcohol or something. Maybe that'll be all that needs to be done. I'm tempted. I think I will. I'm going to lose where the screws were now, but I think I'd rather clean them up. I've got a little bowl here. I was going to put the isopropyl alcohol in before using the pipette. See my screen already, covered in these white bits. Not the longest screws either. You don't have to go for too long. Oh. Yeah, I just realised I should have read the instructions properly. It says you're only supposed to remove the 2 centre screws. So this one in the middle and this one on the other side. Hopefully, out of the 5, just the middle one, each side. It already feels quite loose now. Is that the rail? Okay, that's just holding on the rail. I'm tempted to take them all off anyway, just so I can clean them up. So, I may do that. The rail will come off. You don't need to, but let's carry on and we might learn something. Oh, felt like I twisted that too much then and it jumped. This one's a lot stiffer. It's still a small one. Yeah, I don't know what's that's holding in. It seems like the hole in there is smaller than this one. I don't know if that's just because it's full of that powdery stuff, or whether it's going in something important. It's not going to be the best idea, but I mean, if I'm taking it apart anyway, I feel like I should probably clean up the bits while I'm at it. Oh, I forgot there's going to be a connector in here, isn't there? Where it charges. I do not want to remove that anymore because I do not want to break some connectors. I'm just going to take the opportunity to try and clean this up a little bit. Alright, let's leave it there for a sec. I do not know if isopropyl alcohol and this mysterious white powder is a good combination, but let's just go for it. I mean, the screws are just metal, so I don't think it affects them too much. I've cleaned up these screws a bit. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to screw 4 of them back in. Some of this hasn't been in shot. My apologies. I'm going to do that just until they're just not much pressure, because you don't want to slip and strip the screws. Otherwise you have a hard time getting them back out again. Remember, you can put downwards force into the screw, but don't exert too much force turning the screw. Right, those screws don't look too cleaned up, but I don't know what that substance is, but I've got off quite a bit of it. So these are the ones I've not touched yet. See the difference? Again, I think I'm going to remove all of them. That's not going. Not want to strip the screw. Really don't. I mean, having that dust on, in some ways is actually helpful, because I can tell if the screw is rotating or not. If they're not coming, I might have to leave them. I've done away with the gloves for now. I think they were probably getting covered too much in this mysterious white substance and might cross-contaminate other bits. So I've cleaned out the screws a bit. It's got rid of some of the residual powder, but it still looks slightly powdery. So I've got it now, so just the middle one is removed, as the guide says. Right, it's on to the next stage. I lift up the kickstand. Now, obviously this only applies to this kind of switch model, and I think the other one that they released a few years later with a more efficient processor doesn't apply to the OLED switch, obviously. Right, so you've got to remove the memory card. Is that pressing out, or is that just slides? It does press in. Wow, for some reason I can't take this out. I'll put that somewhere safe. I do not know where. I'll make sure I don't lose it. Here as well. See this screw here? This is kind of covered in a powder as well. Right, so I'll remove this screw as well, surprise, surprise. And there's still power tools going off. I'm going to turn it this way, so only that crud. I said crud, I was going to say CRAP, and then I went to say crud instead. And I got caught in two minds. So hopefully that doesn't the powder doesn't fall into the slot. Another tiny screw. Apparently you can now close this. Oh, screw's not too bad. There you go. Easy to drop. Look at that. I bet you can't even see that on camera. Chasing it around all over the place. I think that's even tinier than the ones out on the bottom. Oh, they were the tiniest ones, but that is pretty darn small. I'm not going to bother cleaning that one up. I'm going to stick it here. So I'm going for this sort of formation to remember things. Right. Now apparently, game cartridge flap. Probably a good idea if I remove the game that's in there. What one's going to be in here? I think my daughter is playing something. Probably Animal Crossing. Oh no, my other two daughters are playing Yoshi's Crafted World. It's a good game, by the way. It's difficult if you play it on normal mode, but kids can put it on, I can't remember what mode it's called, relaxing mode or easy mode, where you can fly, hover indefinitely, even then it's still tricky because you want to collect all the coins and flowers and whatnot. Right, so apparently I'm going to be able to remove this bottom shell now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Don't know if there's going to be some, no, it doesn't seem to be any cables or anything. I'm trying to go gentle because I do not want to. Oh look, you can see there, that one is broke. Can you see that? Plastic tab. This looks like it's so full of crud. There's all sorts falling out of this, dearie me. Ugh. I knew the vents needed a clean. I'd tried hoovering them a few times, but they've wouldn't come out. This like some, almost like some creatures have crawled in there and died. Let's stick that down there for a sec. See all the dust. Maybe a chance, I would say there's a chance it was just dust on those screws, but I'm sure it would have come off easier. So I'm going to stop this video and clean up all this, because it's probably going to involve a vacuum cleaner, and that will not make for appreciable ASMR if it's too noisy. So I'll get back to you. Right, so I've cleaned this up a bit, hoovered all the dust out. There's a good chance there's a ton more inside once I get this off. Might have rubbed this a little bit with a cloth that had some IPA on, and it might have affected the finish somewhat, but considering it's 6 years old and has been played with by young children as well, I mean, it's not perfect condition anyway. What I did find though is these bottom tabs. That one was broken a bit, and I don't know if it was when I was removing it, but the top one is snapped off as well. I don't know how much that would affect it once it's back in place. Does beg the question though, where are those tabs? Where have they gone? Might be in here somewhere kicking around. Might find them in a while. Anyway, still got drilling or cutting or whatever it is going on nearby, so that's still gonna. Anyway, next stage is. Oh, there you go. There's a bit more. Hopefully you can't hear it. Got to remove the screw on here of the SD card reader. Apparently under this foam pad is the connector which connects into the motherboard, and this can be quite a tricky bit because the way it goes into the motherboard is quite easy to damage, and then I'll have to be awaiting a new part and doing some more. So I think it's suggested to people in the comments are suggesting to remove the foam pad so you can see the just checking. Well, I think there's someone involved in suggesting removing this pad, and I don't know. Like I said, I've not done this before, so we might have to just it's pretty firmly stuck down. I'm going to decide, I think. I did read about this a while back, but I've had to wait for all the parts to turn up, and then an opportune moment to do this video, and there's never a perfect time to do them. I should show you what I'm doing. I'm trying to pry this off. You do wonder how much more work someone can do after 9 months of renovating a house. And I don't mean 9 months taking the time, I mean pretty much doing stuff every day for 9 months. Right. I don't know if that's the best route. I will remove that sticky pad, which is covering the connector. That might make it easier to check the connector's okay. And I'll find somewhere to stick this. Yeah, that's still pretty sticky. Right, so now I've got to undo this screw, which again, you have to use a different screw driver. Wouldn't surprise me. Alright, so it's the same one. Alright, I'll stick this there. Oh, here goes nothing. I've got to remove this. Let's disconnect that. It apparently is one of the tricky bits. Keep having to want to look closely and try to make sure to keep it on camera. I always make it look so easy in the guides. I don't know if I should go underneath this cable here. Oh, there we go. It's not so I've not damaged the cable, but it didn't go too severe. If you can see that, like a little mouth with teeth. And that is going to have to press later on back in over this module here. There's a really small thing that you're pressing on there. Right, I'm not sure I should put this because, well, let's just stick it there. Now, remove the shield plate. 6 screws. One up here. One here. Not that, it's not a screw. So remove it by the looks of it. So one up here, one here, one here, one here, and 2. So, recommends also peeling back. There's a little bit of foam in here, which some people say isn't on different models. Again, really make sure pushed in. I feel like they've locked. With this screwdriver, I can give it a slight twist. And I can see that the head's not moving much. Then the handle and that's moving more than the head is. So it gives me the impression that it's in place. Still got to press firmly. I don't know how small these are going to be, but pretty much all the other ones have been very short. This one's really loose anyway. Sometimes that's not a good sign. And just spin around and around. Right, quite short. I didn't have that on camera. These screws might have that white powder on as well, but because they're not dark like the other ones, I don't know what they'd be made out of. Let's say grey metal, and it's harder to tell. I think I've got one more. And one more, I think. Right. Apparently I've got to prise this bit of foam away. I think that's enough. Just says peel it back, it doesn't say remove it. And apparently I can use a spudger to lift up. I thought I'd use one of these. It's coming off. Right. I have a feeling inside this is going to be dusty. So that's off. Have a look underneath. Not too bad. See this paste, which is bridges the gap between the heatsink up to here. Shield plate. Just to help transfer some of the heat away into this metal plate. Again, this is dusty. I'm going to clean this up in a sec. Have a quick look here. Right. There's a bit of dust in there on that heat spreader. See some of the thermal paste is oozing out there, that bluey grey stuff. The battery does look like maybe it's been swelling. Hard to tell. I'll see when I get it out. Yeah, I'm going to clean this up and get back to you. Right. Clean this up a little bit. Trying to get the dust off mostly. So I'm going to take off this thermal paste. Recommends using a spudger. So choose your weapon. I'm going to scrape this off and then use some isopropyl alcohol to take off the excess. I'm going to move this out of the way for the time being so I don't get bits in there. I don't know. I think I'll just scrape initially. It's just crumbling off. Right. Not really prepared for where I'm going to put this. Just leave that there for now and do the stuff that's on here. A bit more. I'm wondering if I should wait until I've removed it. Otherwise all the bits going to flake into there. I'm going to remove that first. I'm going to just get this out over here. Some kitchen roll there all along I could have used. Get some isopropyl alcohol into this. Pour quite a bit because it evaporates quite quickly. Clean the end of this spudger off. And the spudger's not, maybe I've used this for something else before. A bit gnarled up. See the other ones. Oh, that's quite flat. This will do. Dip this cloth in. There's other things that are stuck down around here. Don't know how critical they are, but I try and avoid getting it on there. There are other wipes that have come in this, which I could try, but I mean, I don't know what they contain. That's how that's catching on there. The other side. I think isopropyl alcohol is okay to get on your skin because some of the branded stuff is sold as antiseptic spray, cleaner for wounds and things like that. It might be has to be diluted a bit first, but hopefully it's not the harshest. It's still kind of matte, as if it's got some residue on. Let's see how this pipette goes. Oh, that's great. Turned it up slightly and started dripping out the other side. Well, quite cheap. Hopefully I just don't drip it on my circuit boards and things like that. You can see that on camera, but as you do it, see it just evaporating off straight away. You just drive it. This probably bit is not that important, but use it as an opportunity to test it out for when it comes to the more important components. I don't know if this is just residue or whether it's actually just marked. Probably enough. Maybe they scratch it up a bit, maybe not. Just to help with the adhesion. Right. Next is removing this as the battery as well. Let's just see about the battery first. I remove that. That's it, disconnect the battery. Let's use the same spudger. No, I'm not be sure if I'd rather use tweezers for that. A bit strange, it looks like there's black plastic clips holding it in place. But I think maybe you've got to just lift it up. No, straight up it says. You're not pulling it down, apparently it's straight up. Let's go for the spudger then. I do want to try and get this on camera so you can see if it is tricky. This might be where the battery starts. Oops, you don't want to slip and knock out something else. The battery starts gassing or something. Right, I've got to be careful because apparently this whole black bit can come off as well. And unless you know how to solder, you're going to be a bit stuck. So this is very fun indeed. I'm going to change the cable. Might not be the most obvious thing. I might damage the cables, but something's giving. I think it's coming. I've discharged the battery. I suggest, I think below 25%. I think it went down to sort of like 10 or something anyway, because it's depleting so fast now. This seems to be working. If I have tweezers that go all the way across like that. I could obviously end up breaking the cable. Well, I'm replacing the. Oh, there we go. The new battery should have a cable attached with this connector. If it doesn't, then that'll be interesting. So, going to press the power button a few times and hold it down a bit, just to make sure. to, I think that's supposed to disperse any charge left in the rest of the components. It didn't suggest that, I don't think. I think that's just something I've read before about other devices. Right, now, the battery is going to need coming out, which is going to involve having to use sponges and isopropyl alcohol dropped in and around the battery area and its compartment to help seep through, breaking down some of the adhesive. But you've got to be careful not to bend the battery or pierce the battery. If there's an old battery like mine, not the worst thing ever, but if it starts to get pierced or whatever and then chemicals start coming out of it, it can be an issue. I'm not sure if the new battery I got is genuine. Got it off eBay. The seller's got really good feedback. Well, they had two different batteries that looked the same, but one was £1 cheaper. One was about £14, the other was about £15. And I messaged them and asked what the difference was. And they just said the £1 more one had a Nintendo logo. Now, I didn't mean that it was official. I don't know why official ones wouldn't have the logo on. All the other details seem the same. Oh dear, there you go. I was thinking this here was a tear bit. I mean, it is a tear bit, and I thought I was going to tear it to get this battery open. And lo and behold, the bottom of the bag's actually open. And it came straight out. So there we go. Hopefully the battery didn't damage, didn't fall from too big a height. I mean, it doesn't look obvious that the end's going to be open, especially when it's got these tear bits. Anyways, hopefully I've not damaged it. Alright, got no adhesive with it. All the pads, some come with a foam pad on. Some maybe come with some adhesive. That wire looks maybe shorter. And it's bent at a different angle, so that might be difficult to... I mean, any of these things can break at any point and that'd be annoying. I'm going to try and fold it over in the same manner that the other one is. Gently, hoping it's not going to break the cables. I'm going to install that later though. And I hope that didn't get damaged when I dropped it.